Welcome again, everybody. Thank you for happy hour times too. If you're not admitted into the Google Meet, we invite you to please join our simul stream on Twitch. We will certainly be able to take people's questions through that. We'll be feeding them through the chat. Again, my thanks to everyone who was patient enough to allow us to reset. And, sometimes you can't do nice things for people. We'll do our best to persevere and give you the happy hour you deserve for everyone who was kind enough to wait around. And if, my apologies if I don't immediately recognize your name. If I don't let you in, it's not because I don't love you. It is because I just don't know everybody yet. I definitely will do my best to follow along and let folks in. But again, if we're not admitting you, know that it is only that we had this earlier issue before, and we're trying to solve the problems. And yeah, there are two of me at the moment. I will get out of one of them, I promise. But I wanted to make sure to address that and also have the screens going. I know in the past, one of the things that people have asked for is a larger screen. So I was able to figure it out by using my phone as well, so that I can give you the full screen effect and see all of the images in broader view. So here we go, back to where we were. I think everyone is up to speed with the events that we've talked about that are coming. So I'm going to jump right into Adepticon, the Pro-Am Thursday casual event. It's going to be really fun. Stavro's going to play, Yanni's going to play, I think Leo's going to play. And there'll be, I will say it this way, those who play in it have the first right if they're on the wait list for the sold out tournament, the World Championship tournament. So we're super excited for that new event. We have new lore campaign events for the different lore campaigns that we've launched so far. They're also doing super well. We're really thrilled with the response to those. We will have new learn to play each of the factions, including the Yoroni, which is booking up super fast. So if you are interested in learning from Leo or Yanni or Stavro how to play a particular faction, this is a little cheat sheet, little fun opportunity to know a little bit more about the faction. And then Storytime with Stavro is new. We're going to do a little preview of that here today, but then there's going to be a full, we've got a complete room set up. I'll call it classroom style, but that's not completely accurate, but an opportunity to just kind of sit and listen. If we could have figured out how to roll in a fake fireplace for a little fireside chat type of thing, it should be really fun. And I think people will really enjoy the opportunity to get to hear a little bit more about the lore and the storyline. Also coming up for Adepticon, you're seeing very first time here, the Adepticon. This is our con exclusive for 2025's Adepticon. We're very, very excited to show you that. It will only be available one time, gang, one time. It'll be available at Adepticon, or it'll be available that weekend only on our eShop. Those are the only two places, I should say, that you'll be able to get it. Other than we are doing, for those who participate in the Yoroni nights that you'll see coming up shortly, the FLGSs will get a couple as prizes. So we're very, very excited about that opportunity. And I think he's kind of fun. We want to bring up as well 2 items that are retiring in March. So if you've been thinking about one of the 5th anniversary starters or the First Blood warbands, both of those will disappear in March. So this is your last chance. 1 month left. Also, running very, very low. The Founders Bound to the Elements. We're down. We sold out for wholesale. We have no more pieces available for wholesale sale. It is, as you know, a numbered edition for 777, and there are less than 25 of them that remain. We will keep some, as we always do, for prize support later on. We're keeping 40 of them, so there are over 700 already going out to people. It's been a very, very popular model. So, as I note, last call, I want to make sure everybody is aware that's on our happy hour, because you guys are the faithful, and you persevered through some of the stuff that we just went through. And then retailers, for those of you that are on here, we have 2 events coming up for in-store. March, we'll have Storytime with Stavro. Again, you saw a little bit more. You'll hear a little bit more of that, what a preview of that sounds like from this handsome lad that you see in the screen there. He's going to chat a little bit about the Yoroni coming up, but here we're going to do a full 45 to 50 minute video that you can run during a paint and take. For those who haven't heard the Conquest lore, new to the IP, new to the game, it's a great opportunity to get an overview of the story that is Conquest. And for those of you that are familiar with the story, you're going to hear a lot of new things. So I think it'll be a fun March event in store. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the Yoroni night coming up in April. We'll demo the new faction. You'll get to see all the new models in person. For those who are Conquest curious, you can demo any faction, so that's kind of fun. And we'll be helping retailers support with some themed food because, you know, eating together is playing together ultimately, right? I mean, that's the most fun thing that I think we all do and enjoy in common. So if you are a retailer on this call and you're wondering, ask your retailer relationship manager today about getting in on that program. So now I bring you the Yoroni. And with that, Savro is going to lead us through the mentioned story time. And I'm going to lead you through some pretty pictures for you to look at, some things you've not seen before, many things you've not seen before. So as you listen to the story, enjoy the pictures.
Hi, everybody. How you doing? Where to start? So we're really excited to actually bring you the Yoroni to be able to discuss them openly and fully without Daryl being censoring the way he does. So one of the key aspects that we are looking forward to exploring with everybody is the Yoroni and their sub-factions. Right? As you know, we usually divide our faction into specific sub-factions, which have themes, play patterns, styles, cultural references. And the Yoroni right now, we have revealed two sub-factions, or we will be shortly revealing two sub-factions. The first of which is the Bakufu, which is essentially the armed camp. This is your traditional feudal Yoroni sub-faction. This is where you will have the warriors. This is where you will have the bushi and the wild counterparts, right? As we had discussed before, how the Yoroni can be split between different camps. And the second group that we have are the Kotodamagaku, who are the namers. And names in particular are very, very important for the Yoroni because it is one of the things that the hells that they were, hells is a strong word, the ordeals and the domains that they were cast into, they were supposed to erase their identity and their nature in order to basically either reform them or turn them into raw material. So the interesting thing about the leadership of the Yoroni is, to date, you have seen each Yoroni is focused on a particular domain where it comes from, right? So you will see elements in the kami that show the stability, the solidity, the massive or the density of stone. You will see the aggression of fire, the curiosity and the speed of air and wind, and the adaptability of water. So what's interesting is that the leaders of the Oni are those that start transcending these simple barriers, and the Kitsune are a prime example of this. So what you have here is an air and water dual leader who have sort of transcended the borders of their domain and formed a body or an identity of themselves that combines two elements, water and air, and its combination into mist. And that's the origin, let's say, of the trickster, the seducer, you know, all the things that happen out of sight. It's something that you will also be seeing later on as we explore it with other figures that you'll see further on. Here you can see the kami, originally of the realm of the domain of Earth. And these are you have to excuse me one moment, because I have one of those brains that gets stuck on the first thing mentioned, even if that thing was years upon years upon years ago. And then we had our fantastic vanguards tell us, guys, the names and what you're going for, it would work better with the following Japanese words. So we changed the Japanese words, but my brain will fixate on that one word I thought of at the very beginning of when we were putting this faction together. And no matter how many times, it will refuse to remember the word, in this case, Ayakashi. Sorry, that's the word I was looking for. So what you have here are Kami Ayakashi. In other words, these are the unruly. These are the aesthetes. These are the Kami who said, we escaped hell and want to experience and indulge and sort of receive the fruits of our arduous climb out of this chaos and into the prime domain. So you can see the motifs of consumption, a little bit of the excess represented in the bellies and the masks. And what I particularly wanted to do was not make the kami evil, not make them cute. I wanted to make them chaotic. For those of you who play D&D, the prime chaotic neutral sort of faction. They do whatever they think they should be doing at any point in time with little regard to what other people are thinking. And so for our RPG, which is forthcoming, you will find more details about it later, because I can already tell Daryl looking at me, stay on story. They're going to be fantastic foils, allies, or both at the same time. And hopefully we can show you this in the sculpts, in their art, and in their lore.
Let's just keep going. I have slide after slide, so just keep talking.
Yeah, so move on to the next slide, and I'll
the Oni, all right.
Yep. Here you can see the Oni. The Oni are originally of the realm of fire. They tend to be the more standard, the most plentiful troops of the Bakufu, because of their aggression, but oddly enough, also due to their regimented nature. Now, the ones in particular that you're looking at are Ayakashi. In other words, these are not the tempered, disciplined ones, right? These are closer to the bandits and the outlaws, much like the kami that you saw before. We have plans to release a Bushi version of the Oni. You will be finding out about this slowly through your army builder first. That will tease upcoming units, then it will tease rules, and finally you'll be able to get your paws on the miniatures whenever the gods of production see fit to give us the miniatures. So what's interesting is the Bakufu is actually, there's this very weird structure between the Bakufu and the Koto Damagaku, because the Oni that you see, think of each of them as minor nobility. In the prime realm, each of them is supported by, much like it was in medieval Japan, by a plethora of servants and feudal individuals beneath them. In this case, it's not other Oni or Yoroni, as the case might be. It is actually the origami servants that are made for them. And these origami servants are part and parcel of the culture itself. So the more powerful a leader, I got to go back to and explain how the origami come to be. When Yoroni is incapable of attaining the right amount of enlightenment to pass over into the prime material plane domain, what most often happens is they will congregate at the highest point of the tower that they can reach, and there their names are taken by the Koto Damagaku, who then transcribe them or write these names onto a sheet of paper And if the name is written perfectly enough, it allows that particular spirit to possess the paper. And thus they can sort of shift over, but not truly, not in their truest form. And as a result, their society is very strongly supported. For every Oni you see, you will see a dozen origami servants and attendants. And you will, as you've seen from the army list, eventually also see origami warriors themselves, often used as fodder and foot troops. Are we ready for the next one? Yeah, Daryl.
The kappa are coming.
So this is the first time you guys will be seeing the kappa. They are the water aspect. We've gone on a strong, for lack of a better term, sort of a monastic feel to these particulars. These are bushi, so they're once more the disciplined. Unlike the ayakashi that we mentioned before, these belong to the more disciplined, the more contained arm, the ones that say, I achieved enlightenment through this process and therefore I will stick to it because this is the true path. And they are the sort of the monastic ascetics. Think of them as the wise old men sitting by the rock, sitting on the rock by the river, talking about the nature of reality or existence or the beauty of a single moment. All those, iconic images, patient, adaptable, serene. So these are the moods and the themes that we went with for the kappa. And an interesting little tidbit, Derek, can we go a little bit back?
You sure can.
A little bit interesting of a tidbit that we really wanted to include, it just didn't make sense, is all kappa are supposed to have a sort of a bowl in their head that is filled with water. And if this water is ever spilled, the kappa dies. Which is why in battle they wear these very ornate and strongly affixed helmets to prevent that from happening. So I love these little details that we're able to weave in. Moving on. Here you see the daimyo, who in this particular case, we chose to represent him as a pure Oni, but you will be seeing artisan series versions of these and founders exclusives where they start merging two elements. One of the things that we really wanted to portray, but it truly is incredibly difficult and limiting, is the wide variety of Yoroni, but it became too overwhelming on the field. The army lacked cohesion. So what we chose to do instead is to focus the individuality much more strongly on the characters so that there can be more of a story tie-in and a little bit, they're the exception to the rule rather than there is no rule. I notice a lot of people asking about rat folk. They're a recent addition. To the whole thing. I know L5R did them. I know other companies did them. If I can think of a really cool way to make them fit in, it sounds like a cool idea. It sounds like a nice challenge, but it's the kind of thing that has to fit in. Here what you're seeing was a daimyo and a noyabun. Again, the bushi and the ayakashi version of the same concept. Right, you have the disciplined leader, and then you have the sort of the brutal, cunning leader. Each of them their own version. The tengu are the one kit that represents both the bushi and the ayakashi. So the ayakashi that you see right now are the hunters. Right, they are rovers and generally lonely individuals who enjoy traveling in the wilds, and their principal means of protection, sustenance, and basically way of living is as huntsmen through the bows that they carry. And when you look at, and their role is something that we envisioned much closer to that of, let's say, a bandit in many ways. Whereas on the other hand, when you look at the Bushi versions of them, carrying the swords, and the fans, you end up you end up closer to the duelist, right? And the idea here is to show the disciplined and the sort of the ideal Japanese weapon masters in some way, taking their place on the field. And it's this duality that we hope to ultimately be able to show you with all variations of the Oni, but it would make, it's the kind of thing that you can't release it all at once. You want to overlap. You want to see how the armies come together. It's a great way to add theme and depth to an army that would otherwise perhaps be a little bit too one-dimensional if you focused exclusively on the sort of Bushi samurai aspect of it. This lets us explore the wildness of Japanese mythology as well. And the weirdness that, if any of you are familiar with any number of strange yaokai that Japanese mythology has, you understand just how crazy and weird we can get. And so here you finally see the yokai. So the first thing that you do not understand from that image is how big. What you're looking at right now is the Genya no yokai. This is the wild yokai. This is the one who has, let's call him more the Ayakashi version. This is a massive figure. We should have added an Oni for scale. They reach a little bit above his knees. So this guy is an absolute beast. And what you see in his arm is that these have taken the sort of assimilating route. They are consuming other kami and incorporating their paths and their virtues and into their own. And it's a race, basically, when one takes on the path and one tries to become more than what he was. There are two paths. You can follow the sort of the untamed path and the traveled path. The untamed path is one of rampant growth that must always, you must always stay ahead of the curve, because if you fall behind it, your need to continue expanding will eventually lead to you consuming too much, losing yourself, and basically falling back into the abyss. And this is the very thin edge that, the Genya no yokai are sort of trying to be. They're trying to be on the very thin edge of the blade. They're continuously ahead of their own advancement in order to control it. And the Dai yokai have taken the other path. It is the one of discipline, right? So these are the weapon masters. These are those Yoroni who have chosen to ascend following the path of discipline, but their awareness, let's call it, self-awareness and understanding centers around the discipline and the focus traditional to the rise in the path. What's interesting is the leader of the Yoroni is the only individual to have walked both paths. And that is what makes him exceptional, in that he has mastered and reached the pinnacle of both paths, and in some ways transcended what the Oni themselves understand as enlightenment. And yes, these are plastic. And here you see the Yorogumo. It is a fantastic miniature. The little detail that you guys can't see is that the front two legs of the spider are actually brushes. And there are two variants to this one. You've got the Yorogumo, the geisha, right, which is the one that you're seeing now, which focuses more on enhancing the troops around her. And we are eventually going to see the Yorogumo Mahotsu, who is a spellcaster. And again, remember what we talked about, the individuality of each, let's call them leader of the Yoroni. This is a prime example of that. Because here what you have is a Yorogumo with, in the Yorogumo is a mix of earth and water rather than air and water as the Kitsune were. Here it's earth and water, leading to the power element of poison, hence the spider. So these are incredibly enlightened individuals within Yoroni culture. Their how to phrase it? Their ascension and refinement is an example to the Yoroni beneath them to try to emulate in order to as a path to ascension. They are part of the Kotodamagaku faction, and that's why you can see the scribes and the spider itself scribing, because the mastery of letters and the written word and calligraphy is critical to them. So these are the greatest storytellers, historians, recorders, and storytellers of the Yoroni race, and they work to both empower and inspire their fellow warriors, for lack of a better term. And as I said before, you split it into the Mahotsu and the Geisha. Now, interesting, Yoroni cohort. For every other faction, the cohort will be a sort of aimed at first blood. But because of the way the Yoroni rules work, their cohort will also be their one-player starter set, so it can literally be used both for TLAOK and First Blood. It includes a fantastic mix of miniatures.
11 in all.
11 in all, yes.
For the
I
low
can't
price of
quite remember them off
$99.99.
the top. Ah, yes, that is the other. Notice who's the salesman? The guy that gives you the important details. So what's
That's
interesting
really
is
all they
each
need to
of
know.
these.
11 models, $99.99. You get a Kitsune, an Oni, a Kappa, 2 Tengu, 3 Kami,
You heard the man.
and 3 you haven't seen yet.
Yep.
Coming in April, this bad boy.
And the idea here is that everything you get in this box, you can straight up in First Blood, you can grab this box and straight up play a 1,000 point battle. All the cohorts are going to be the same idea. And with some of the interesting updates that are coming up to First Blood very soon, you will have all the reason to dip your toe in there or dip your toe into a world through First Blood. Because we're very, very committed to making an experience that is the equal of any other skirmish war game, and hopefully it's better.
And for TLAOK, if memory serves, this is 750 points.
Yeah, it's around. Yeah, I think it was 780 in this particular instance, but yeah,
About there. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Oh, go ahead, Leo. Sorry.
No, about there. You're right on.
Okay, good. So again, you can pick up this and another couple sets, and you're well on your way to a pretty healthy TLAOK rank and flank army too.
Yeah. So this, I repeat, is going to be the anomaly where it is both the cohort and the one-player starter set. And then we have the two-player starter set. What would be cooler than Yoroni? It would be Yoroni fighting orcs on dinosaurs. And what would be cooler than that if the orc on dinosaur that we put was one of our sexiest models? So yeah, that was literally the thought process that went behind this. It is going to be a fantastically iconic dual kit. Dual kit, a dual starter set. And one of the things that we didn't want to do, it's very often after a company launches a starter, you see the markets flooded with one of the armies, one of the two armies. We wanted to make both armies sexy so that whoever got the other half, the not Yoroni, wasn't like, oh man, I got screwed. This is, we wanted to make both sides equally appealing, equally sexy. And I think we succeeded. It's a fantastic mix of troops, and it's a fantastic mix of very useful troops for both sides. So there is no unit here that you will not use, from all the way from casual to competitive play.
Yeah, and did we note they're $199 for this set? And as Stavro said, there's no short end of the straw with this set. It is, you're going to be fighting over which one you get to play, which I think was our goal with this set, was to make sure that people felt like there was no second place. It was first place or first place. Which one do you get to play?
Mm-hmm.
They're both good. Thomas, you've had your hand up for a while.
Yeah, I was wondering if there's any lore behind this set. Like, is there any upcoming Living World event or famous battle that involved Yoroni and the Wadroon?
There is, and it is it's going to be the basis for our next campaign pack.
Coming in June.
It's going to be, yeah. You're going to see another fantastic example of these idiosyncratic and unique Yoroni leaders. And it's going to be what happens when the way that Yoroni interact with the prime plane means that they can pop out anywhere. And particularly any place that has a confluence of elements. And the oases of the Wadroon are actually one such confluence of elements from which the Yoroni can pop out. And this is what happens when that happens in the heartland of the Wadroon domain lands. So it's going to be very interesting.
Thanks for answering.
Tamara, you have a question? Oh, you're on
talking to
mute.
me?
Yep, now we can hear you.
All right, yeah. Seeing your new starter set, I think you guys are a refreshing breath of air compared to James Workshop.
I'm sorry, I missed the question about part of that. I didn't catch that.
Sorry. Question. Your upcoming lore campaign set was going to be Yoroni versus Wadroon.
Correct.
Correct.
Can we get some hints about who the leader is going to be? Is it going to be like a Diamo,
It's an Oyaboon. It's an Oyaboon against a predator.
Interesting. Can't wait to see the storytelling behind that one on your Living World. I can see Evan looking forward to paint that out.
And it will have STLs for lore as well.
Yes. You're going to have both. As in the previous campaign packs, you're going to have both Kami terrain and Wadroon. Not Kami, Yoroni terrain as well as Wadroon terrain.
I'm looking forward to see that pop up on your website.
It will be up there pretty soon.
We'll be nice to
Yeah, we thought we'd let you guys build and paint the armies before we pushed you into it.
We'll be nice to you guys if you get 360-degree turn models of your new models so we can admire it every angle.
Okay, thank you. We'll do our best.
You're welcome.
It actually needs very specific machinery that needs to be operated by people who know what they're doing. When people who don't know what they're doing or do that, it doesn't look as good as you'd think. But we're working on it.
Thomas.
Good to know.
Have we seen the Predator before?
This particular Predator, no.
So it wasn't the one in the Living World.
No. I don't like reusing characters just because people know them. there's a strong reason why this is a predator who's interacting. And another reason is we thought a lot of people have the plastic predators. We wanted to give people an alternative to a model that is very commonly used and has only really one alternative that is quite similar. So we wanted it to be something that almost anybody would be interested in picking up as an alternative.
Thanks for answering.
Then the last Yoroni piece we have to show you is the upcoming July release of the Founders exclusive.
So yeah, this one's title is The Duel. And as you see, it's a Tengu against Kami Daimyo. And the entire principle, like everything about this piece is in the action scene. Right? And what we're doing here is, of course, you're going to be able to pop off that log or the top half of the log and use both characters either as part of the diorama or as part of the what's it called? Or as a single character that you use for your own. So again, the goal is it looks very pretty, but it's something that you can also actively use yourself on your battlefield if you'd rather use it as alternative characters, much like we've done with most of them. I am very much looking forward to this. This is going to be a Contraro sculpt as well. And I am very, very much looking for it. I wanted to keep that sort of anime over the top feel for it while grounding it into the gritty realism that we've tried to put into Conquest.
I'm going to stop sharing for a moment because I have one more thing to share with you guys. I mean, I have more things to share, but I'm going to switch to something a little different, which you're not necessarily expecting.
We are back.
So here we go. All right, why did it not share? Why did it not share with me? This is not having fun today. There we go. I realize the sound, unfortunately, is not going to come through. I don't know why the sound won't play, but this is our video about the Yoroni.
You'll be able to see it on YouTube.
In fact, you can see it now live on YouTube. We just posted it. The debut of the video has now occurred.
Talking about things that have just been posted and they can see. So what you're seeing there is a sort of a representation of the elemental pagoda and the path of ascension, and then sort of the way the Yoroni basically appear everywhere on the prime domain.
So we're super excited to bring the Yoroni to you. I think hopefully you agree it's going to be a great time for everyone to enjoy and hopefully really brings the market to a whole new level for Conquest. Thomas, you have a question?
So I understand the Yoroni can appear everywhere, almost everywhere in the mortal plane. And does that include the Quiet Island?
It does.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean you'll get to see it right now, but it does.
Yeah, that's all I was asking.
And with the Yoroni, we're happy to also announce that we will be going to Japan for Game Market, our first show in our first con in Japan. It comes May 17th and 18th. We'll be partnering with our retail partner, Clash and Volley. And so, Tokyo, here we come to bring the Yoroni to your fair land. So those of you who are already supporting us, thank you. And we look forward to seeing you in person at Game Market coming up. It'll be here before we know it. It's like 3 months away, 2 months away almost. So now we have something else new and exciting to share with you. This was a focus on lore and Yoroni because we've launched a new part of our website. And we're very, very pleased to share with you some of those things. And I'm going to bring them up on the screen now. But it will be live. Tasso, I believe we're thinking tomorrow, correct?
Yes.
So sharing my screen again. Shamari, you have a question about those?
Not exactly a question about the video. More of a question directed to Davros. Any any comment about the figures on your background? Any new models we should be looking forward to?
The thing in my background that happens to be the that is going to be the, what do you call them, Daryl? The Con X for Game Market.
Oh, that's the con exclusive for Game Market. I've not seen that yet myself.
Yeah, I sent it to you earlier.
Oh, well, I've been a little busy. You might have noticed.
Yeah. So it's Old Man Samurai Koi fish gnome.
Oh,
It's
that's
one
going
of
to be
those times
exciting.
where I gave them an idea, and the artists were like, "Yes, that's cute. Leave us to work and go away." And then what they come back with is much better than what I told them to do. Kind of humbling that way.
That is going to be awesome to
I
share.
also saw I also happened to see another model. It looked kind of like a dragon in form. Any comments?
No, but you know, we have mentioned that the Dweghom are being closely looked at for a holistic overhaul. So if your eye managed to catch something, it's probably part of that overhaul.
Alright. Interesting. Very interesting. That's all.
So you will see now on the lore website coming tomorrow, it will link off of the current lore website, but it's going to give you more stories and specific faction details as well. So since we're focused on the Yoroni today, you will be able to read quite nicely and easily great stories. It brings all of the prior lore that people wondered, where did it go? Sort of kind of thing. And new stories that you've not yet read into a format that is digestible and easy for both anyone that is interested in hearing more about the faction they're not currently playing or hearing more about the faction they've already chosen. We're really, really excited to bring this to you. I think it's going to make a huge difference in how people feel about what they're playing. And here's a little example of the city-states. And again, this will be all live tomorrow as something else for you to enjoy around Conquest. Because, you know, from our standpoint, it is more than just a game. It is super important that you have the ability to embrace the world in which you're playing. And
Segue to next.
If I may just add one more thing. Well, no, if you're sharing already, never mind. Okay. No,
go
the
ahead.
idea is that the lore site is one of the steps we're taking to address some concerns that were raised that the lore is not accessible, but it's not kind of organized. Even its first iteration is going to get expanded on with more ways for you to organize lore in a way that suits you. And of course, there's going to be a more printed form as well.
What you now see on your screen, God. Coming in June, the new lore companion book. No rules, just lore, just stories.
Yep.
All fluff, I guess, maybe in this case.
All fluff.
All fluff. I hate that term.
I
And
do.
here's the interesting thing. Number one, this will catch you up on the living world if you haven't been able to keep up to date with the living world. It will catch you up to the living world. It will give you insights into a lot of things that you didn't know about before, um, particularly around the exiles. Some interesting little details are going to be revealed there. And I think the most exciting part for everybody is that this will be revealing the next, let's call it, chapter of Conquest, and is going to be outlining and detailing 7 additional, never before discussed. No, hold on. 7 additional factions.
Mm.
Some have been discussed before.
But there's that rub. Some have not.
Yeah, some have not. Am I allowed to name them, Daryl?
I don't see why not. They're going to be in the book.
True.
So, number 1, you're going to get Hell. Number 2, Asgard. And again, the number 1, 2, or 3, I'm not. Don't read into it. Number 3, Desmoceral. Number 4, the Han. Number 5, the Black Legion. You're familiar with them. Number 6, Coach. What was number 6?
I don't know. You didn't tell them in the
Thailand?
order that I'm used to.
Oh,
No, you didn't mention famine for sure.
I
That
didn't
was
mention
number
family,
6.
did I? Oh,
No,
You didn't
that's
mention
the one I
famine.
forgot.
And
That's the one I forgot.
what was the 7th? Like
Oh yeah, and the 7th is the Mastica.
true. Yes.
And these are working
Um,
title names. So
Partly working. Partly.
Partly working. The only one that might change is we might get a little bit fancier with famine.
Yes.
But the idea is that these are all of the factions needed to tell the main body of lore of Conquest in such a way that we are not leaving out any significant aspects of the world. There are a lot of nooks and crannies left. There are a lot of strange things left to explore. But these are in some ways the biggest players in the world. So I'm really, really looking forward to be able to present the first truly cohesive vision of the world the way it was originally thought of way back in the day. Because it was very important that all of these factions be tied to each other. Some things such as why is there no gunpowder in this world, or why are the oceans so hard to cross, and why are the continents so separate, will hopefully become clearer as the story progresses. This kind of thing is very important to me, that it make cohesive sense. I've always loved the story of any setting, but for me, one of the critical things is there's got to be an element of reason, an element of realism, right? Something can be fantastic, but I find that the fantastic becomes a lot easier to accept if it's hand in hand with actual consequences and effects. I always loved those D&D campaigns where it's like, congratulations, you killed the dragon. But, the dragon was actually holding Terror of the Dragon was holding the Orcish hordes at bay. And now the dragon's gone and the Orcish hordes are descending. A little bit of that. Hopefully some towards the good, not all of it towards the bad. But I love the world being interlinked. And I understand that to many people this makes it repetitive, right? The tongue-in-cheek, I hope it's tongue-in-cheek jokes that everybody's like, oh, wait, the Spires did it again. For me, this is important. If you've had sentient life on a planet for as long as the Spires have been on air, their hand would be in every single pie. So for me, it's important that these things tie in and make sense, and you see something that's cohesive as a whole, rather than a whole series of cool stories that when you truly start trying to stitch them together, it doesn't come together well.
Thomas, he has a question.
I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna ask, and Severus, I know you're sick of me bringing it up, but do any of those factions in the book, are they related to the Dying Lands?
Yes, there's no setup.
yes, yes. Yes.
I knew I was about to give you a shout out as I was saying it, but I said no, I'll be good. But yes, Desmoceral is based in the Dying Lands.
Thank you for answering.
Adrian,
Hi, I love to see this finally. A new lore book, great to see. 2 questions. Will we see a rough world map of the entire planet, Aya, essentially, so that we know more or less what's the relation between the continents?
Yes.
Great. And second question, will we also see setup for like new lore events, like 100 Kingdoms, for example, at some point we'll probably see a new conclave to elect an emperor. Will we see some of that setup there?
What we will include in each of the factions is kind of an analysis of why events in the living world kick things into motion. So because the living world had multiple stories, for instance, the 100 Kingdoms had like 6, 8, around 8 narratives. Of course, we can't include all of them because then the 100 Kingdoms will massively overwhelm the bulk. So what we will do with each faction is we will explain the structure of the faction until specific events that we will go through, change this and challenge this, causing changes that we will follow again together, sometimes not, through the living world. So it will set up things for big things. Yes, I think if you follow the living world, you know that in the 100 Kingdoms we are going in that direction. There is already a new claimant to the Hollow Throne. Reluctant, but still there is one.
Poor Erich. He
He
didn't sign
didn't
up
even
for
know
this.
he was a climate to the
He found out pretty much after everyone else, if we're honest. So
Yeah, I wish the poor man the best of luck. Thank you for the answers.
thank you. Rob, you are missing the Desmoceral in your list. And then now, let's see, Sang, you have a question.
Yes. Just because the player's gonna ask me in my community, so I have to ask first. 7 actually you just showed them about the lores. Are they in any relation? Will they be getting models, actual representation on the tabletop too, or no?
I mean, in this year, no, but we can definitely tell you that next year, one of them will be out.
Can you give us a little?
Oh,
Tease?
now you know better than that.
I tried.
Nice try, though.
Yeah, because some of my players are very interested in the lore, so this campaign book is very welcoming. And they're also wondering, because of the project stuff you guys do every year, so most of the players who starting the Conquest are curious about the next project's gonna be about. So, all right, this is gonna be very exciting for them. Thanks for sharing.
Adrian, there's definitely more blood in a stone than there is in this heart. You got to know that by now.
Yeah, I was going to say we were trained by the worst of them. They would sneak in that question in the most innocuous. Oh, here's your burger. Could I have some fries? And what's defection number 9?
No, we definitely. It will not surprise anyone to know that I made everyone rehearse the answer to that question before we got on the happy hour. My internet sucks. Could someone ask about weavers? Weavers? I've heard of them before. But this happy hour is about the Yoroni and lore. I don't know of said weavers' courts. Stay tuned.
You all are making the Weavers. I mean, it's probably. I've never heard them before. It's obviously a joke.
they are a fun faction like the MFG.
Oh, come on now. That's not nice. Weavers are not part of the 7 only because they've already been well
Yes,
explored.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's not that. So to be clear, it's not that the Weavers have been forgotten about. Let's be very, very real about that.
No, the list of these 7 does not include those that we have already, because we have talked about the Weavers. You have seen them during past projects.
Right. And
So,
we treasure them, and that is why we are, I know it feels very cruel. And we do talk about the cruelty of the Weaver courts, but we really do want it to be very right.
Yeah.
Like that legitimately. We have so much love for the Weaver courts. Go ahead. Sorry, Sabra.
Anybody that saw the early art to them knows that is a very hard bar to match. And we wanted to do it right. So it's one of those sad truths that you've got to pick what you can focus at any given time in order to deliver something that is up to the standards that we have set for ourselves and the expectations that we've built up, guys.
But we promise the Weaver courts are not like your girlfriend in Canada from camp. They do exist. They do exist. And you will get to meet them someday. So do know.
and their lore is in the book.
And their lore is in the book.
Okay.
I missed a couple questions there. Sorry. When are we seeing the Order of the Sword released? Is there going to be a lore reason for their in reality disappearance? So, okay. Great question.
It's not so much a disappearance as it is a sudden ominous quiet. And sorry, because quiet is going to imply
Yes. No, don't go there. Don't go there.
sudden ominous silence from them. And you are going to see this coming year, within the next 12 months, I would say you're going to start to get very strong indications of why the Order of the Sword have been very, very surreptitious.
Silence is the new faction. I like that. That would be named after me, really, when you think about it. So, I think there was I will tell you.
Doctor Who faction. We can't.
Dogs of Paint. You have a question.
Yeah. Since we got Yoroni versus Vatun campaign book and campaign models, now's my question. Will Spire see a campaign also, or is it planned for a longer time frame, like next year or in a couple of years?
No. They are getting it this year, and it is the most iconic campaign you can imagine for the Spires.
The most iconic. Okay, now my brain is rumbling. Okay, thanks.
That's the goal. So one thing I will mention, I know a lot of you are asking about other factions. Yes, there are either they've come out or they will be having models. I think every faction has either just had them or will have them this year, and we will talk about them on an upcoming happy hour. But we did want to keep this about the Yoroni and the lore because we felt like there was so much to talk about there. But do not stress. For those of you who are playing Old Dominion, for example, we got you.
Yeah, you've not been forgotten.
So don't panic. We're not going to tell you what it is. We're not going to show it today, but don't worry. We'll have another opportunity for you to join our happy hour when we figure out the technology to lock everything down and still invite conversation for everyone. We're excited. For us, and I think this is the hard part. We really enjoy this interaction, the conversations that you guys ask questions. I don't want it to be just, here's a presentation. It's fun for us. But on the flip side, of course, we saw the reality of that and we have to figure all that out. So we will continue to look at ways to do that. I don't know if are there any other questions I missed about Yoroni or about lore or about the website, the new website lore, or the book. Joey.
A couple questions that I don't think got answered. People are asking about the Yoroni Army Support Pack. If we have plans to release it, since they are the ideal cards, will there even be a need for a pack?
So the ideal cards mean that the pack is actually a little bit superfluous, but at the same time, there is the need for the spell cards. But need is a little bit. So yes, there is a support pack. It will include copies of the ideal cards, and it will include the spell cards. But honestly, we're racking our brains as to how the hell we can add value to that. Because if it's just the spell cards, it's going to be like, here's your flimsy, what is it, 13 card package and a bunch of ideal cards. So we're pondering how to solve that one. And when we do, we'll make sure that you guys also have access to cool spell cards.
Yeah. It's a great
And
question.
then one more question from everyone, Daryl. Adepticon will be at numerous rooms doing different events, but what is our booth number?
Oh, the second row. Hold on. Great question, Joey. And I should have
Thank
been
you.
ready for that, but
I tried finding it.
Bear with me one moment. I will look it up. Yeah, we do have a booth. It's the 200 rows, and I think it's 202, but bear with me one second. I've been so focused on the gamma number that I admit I don't know that I remember it yet. I will have it in a moment.
Wonderful. We have plenty of events for Adepticon to sign up for. Lots and lots of learn to plays in the tournament, everyone, and they're going to be in different rooms, but we are finding our booth number, so you know where to find us.
202. I was right. I remembered it correctly. 202.
Excellent.
So like literally, when you walk in the door, you're not gonna be able to miss us. Period. I also failed to note when we were looking at the lore companion book that one thing we are doing this time around is we are making 2 editions. One will be the hardcover deluxe copy that you guys are all familiar with from the past. The other one will be a paperback version so that it will be priced affordably and be more accessible for everyone. So there will be 2 versions, and I think that's super important for people to be aware of. Dogs of Paint, do you have another question?
Yeah, talking of pricing by the law books, in which range we can expect it to be, roughly?
I don't know yet, only because we're still finalizing the number of pages. It's a robust 250-ish, and I say ish because it's not completely final yet. So, I mean, our target...
Somebody hasn't finished writing it yet.
Yeah, 250-ish. And it's going to have to be wrapped up fairly soon if we're going to get it to you in June. But so I don't know, but I think the target is in the 39 and 59 to 69 for the 2 editions. That's our goal.
That sounds really great. That's awesomely priced. I think that's great.
Thank you. That's our goal. Now that I've shot myself in the foot by telling you that, it'll be hard for me to do anything else. So,
if the price is the other thing, you can release a faction spoiler or something to make up for it. How about that?
if we have to charge $10 or $15 more, we'll give it a 5-page Leo lore supplement.
Over my dead body. Over my dead body.
5 pages are only the titles of my books. Where will I even begin?
I've been reading them.
I knew people would like that one.
I will need to add something for the Cult of Leo in actual lore, just a nod. Cult of some lion, I don't know.
The Yorogumos release in July. Answer to those questions. Will Eric Schur become the new emperor? I don't know the story of that. I don't know that one. The answer to that,
I mean,
so
we're
one
gonna see,
little
aren't we?
tidbit that I realized I forgot to mention lore-wise, bringing things back, is for the Yoroni, we also have a 3rd faction in the works for them. We've mentioned them before. And they are those Yoroni who believe that the prime domain is nothing but a trap. It is sort of a fake paradise created to divert them from their true goal of returning to their sort of primordial origin as, agents of destructions and nemesis on any of everything that is creation and balance. And these, as you can understand, are fairly non-standard Yoroni. and so they hide in plain sight. And they are essentially the shinobi sub faction. And oh my god, their rules and their art is insane. We'll be teasing the names of their units very soon. And when Leo is done, like hanging down from ceilings and coming up with all sorts of insane crap for them, and you know the playtest group has kicked it in the tires a couple of hundred times. We'll let you guys see what they can do. But if the original ideas have anything to do with what the final result is, they're going to be so amazingly thematic. It's insane.
Logan, or Logan. I never get that one right. Logan, go. You're up, bud. You're on mute, sir.
Yeah, I shouldn't just unmute my microphone. I should unmute in the browser as well. It's login. Oh yeah. I was wondering if I remember correctly, the spies were fleeing from something. Do you have any be they as vague as whatever, however Hawaii?
It's something that, guess what? In true Spire faction, they made.
Ooh. Nice.
Saying,
I mean, spires will be spires, you know?
Yeah, I was wondering if you would kind of go explore the part of what they were fleeing from a bit more. Yeah. Thanks.
Also, I'm going to remind everyone there is a 50-minute video for your FLGS to play, as well as a story time at Adepticon.
Yeah, and effectively the story time at Adepticon is going to be going into all the weird nooks and crannies. With the goal for that one in particular is because the lore book will be coming out in the months after Adepticon. I'm not committing to a particular date. Not so much because of the writing, but because of the art.
Yes, you are. I've already told them.
I know, but I'm not committing to a particular date to them. I may have committed to a particular date to you.
Okay.
So if I get my ass beat, it's in Boston and not by, a bunch of frustrated people all over the world. There's some tactics behind my thinking. But the story time in Adepticon is going to be the existing sub-factions, and then basically it's going to be a question and answer session where I can expound on any sort of weird interactions that these revealed factions or new bits of information have between themselves. Because very often you guys asking questions is what prompts amazing sort of links between what we've made. So it's going to be a very creative sort of experience, free-form experience there, where you guys get to ask questions about everything you've just heard, and probably catch me flat-footed very, very often, but the few times that you don't catch me flat-footed, it'll be cool.
And I think our plan is to try to film that as well, so that those of you, as you point out, cannot geographically attend Milwaukee's Adepticon. We will try to bring it to you later.
So, Stavro, to connect Logan's question to the Yoroni can pop up anywhere. Can they pop up on the Spire's old homeworld? Have they interacted with the enemy?
No.
No, okay. Interesting.
The Spire's old homeworld is not within the domain of balance.
Sang, I called on you earlier, and I apologize. It is your turn.
All right. Question about Yoroni's lores. When you guys saying that they pop up anywhere on the material plane, do you mean by, like as a group or as an individual, or is it random? And
Random. My answer would be yes.
no,
So we discussed it a little bit previously. The Yoroni, the way the domains work in EA is that they're sort of layers like an onion, right? And
Yeah.
the deeper you go into any particular domain, the more primordial and elemental it becomes. The shallower you are in any domain, the closer and closer you are to the prime, right? So if you were on a very shallow domain of fire, for example, it would be a sandblasted, scorching, hot version of whatever region you are in right now. But as you go deeper, it starts going much closer to its elemental paradigm, which is this massive sea of fire, this ocean of fire, right? And the thematicology starts changing. So very often what happens is that Yoroni settlements are mostly in that last layer of the elemental domain of the Eternal Pagoda, right up to the edge. And some parts of it bleed into the prime, but for particularly powerful lords who have powerful vassals to them and have attracted a lot of origami, you will have full-fledged settlements within the prime as well. Or it could be as simple as a roving band of Ayakashi who don't have, or it could even be one. There's a number of short stories and strange encounters that are based on a single Yoroni, particularly because the ones that were able to escape earlier were usually the ones that were the most enlightened and the most powerful. Now that bar has been reduced so others can make it through. So you can have the whole gamut of, you know, a single powerful Yoroni, a band of Ayakashi, a settlement, or even part of a settlement, of a very large settlement within the shallow layers of the prime.
All right, then
Not the prime,
continuing
but
with,
the primordial.
then continuing with my previous question. So if Yoroni comes to the material plane, do they know where their other kins are? Because they're not like teleporting the same places. So do they know where their kins are located at, or do they not know where they are?
They are aware because the prime is such what's the word? Habitable. It is the opposite of inhospitable. It is hospitable. The moment you step into the prime, it's like a revelation to them. It's like, oh my God, the environment isn't trying to reduce me and change me. You know, it's not a perpetual siege on me. So they're immediately aware that they are in the prime. They cannot, when they step over, they realize immediately. Mortals who somehow step over into the other side, they might not realize as quickly.
Oh, my question was that, like, let's say Group A came over and the Group B came over to different plane, a different part of the IA. Do they know each other? That they exist in the same
Yes,
plane?
almost certainly they know each other, but they might not know where they are geographically or how far they are geographically. But remember, the Yoroni has spent millennia upon millennia slowly ascending the Eternal Pagoda. So they are intimately familiar with each other. It's one of the quirks of that faction.
And my last question about Yoroni would be, what happens when they die? Do they go back to the elemental plane, or do they disappear, or essence get destroyed?
No. They get cast back into the primordial plane. But the problem is, sure, the powerful and the strong-willed among them can rise again, and you know they can be. When you, for example, see the Domaru, we changed their name again. Yes, we did. So absolutely certain I say the right name, and we don't have the name out. Why do we not have the name out? Interesting. So the Domaru Damashi, which are the animated armors, are effectively the armors of particularly powerful Yoroni warriors that have been inscribed with true name, and they sort of shadow his movement and sort of cast him onto the prime, even though his spirit remains within the primordial domain, and it gives him an anchor and makes him come back sooner. But for many, if they fall back, they simply lack the strength to come again. So it's not a I died, I'll come back. It's not an Inigo Montoya thing, right? You kill them and they keep coming up and not giving up. Death is a tremendous setback for them. For some, less than others, but for all of them, it could even be the end as they fall once more into the domains and could just give up because it's such a grueling ordeal to pull yourself back out.
All right, thank you.
Login, you're up.
Hi. Earlier you said that the spire's homeworld is beyond the domain of balance. I was wondering if that means, does it mean there also the homeworld is beyond creation and destruction? And if not, is there anything beyond creation and destruction?
Stavro, can I jump in here?
Yeah, I'll leave this one to Kots because I don't know if I'll be able to answer it without revealing.
So, I mean, there are already teases in the text about the Spire's history. So, I'll put it this way. We have already discussed that, yes, there are the elemental domains, and they are kind of part of the architecture of the natural architecture of the cosmos of balance. Like the elements are the building blocks that balance uses to create this cosmos. But particularly strong, I'm going to say entities, not individuals, or presences. And we know there are a few out there that are inclined towards either destruction or creation, tend to, in order to exist in this world, the rules need to bend around them to accommodate them, because otherwise they're incompatible, and they're strong enough to do it. So we know that the spires come from a world where it is more, we've already mentioned it, more creation-oriented, and that is kind of what's happening here. You will find a lot more out when we reveal the lore book. Ha!
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
See, I plug in, Daryl.
Beautifully done. Beautifully done. Will there be more information about the two dragons that stay?
Not yet.
I don't think so yet. No, I don't think so yet.
Good questions, though. That's. I think
Yeah,
that's one of the things I'm very
I'm
excited about is that we're having really great questions about the story.
There is also one that Joey posted, I think, from Twitch, and it says, so the world of Conquest is the last layer of those alternate dimensions. Kind of. It's not like the last. There's also kind of, we've talked about it in one of the spotlights, there's also kind of a thin layer, a mantle, we call it, around the world that kind of acts as a filter. It's not the last, it's where they all meet. It's where they all manifest into the cosmos. So it's kind of, there are furnaces underneath, the 4 elemental furnaces, and what the soup they make is the cosmos, is this world, is the prime domain.
We have one more question from Carnivorous Kang, if you guys want to take that, and then we'll bring this to a close today with the knowledge that there will be more story times. Who wants to take that one?
Let me hold on. Let me zoom up because I missed it.
It's the very last one from Joey.
Oh, I guess just a moment.
It comes from Twitch. Joey sent it. I can read it if you like.
About reproduction for the Yoroni.
Correct.
No, the Yoroni do not reproduce. Untold,
All in my book.
untold.
All of it in my book. Don't you worry.
It's erotic fan fiction by Leo now.
Oh, God. Erotic Yoroni fan fiction by Leo.
You did say that they were intimately
familiar with each other.
That intimate, Leo.
Well,
Not
with that,
that
we
intimate.
started here and we're going to end here, apparently, with our happy hours. it all comes down to,
Oh dear God.
at the end of the day, all the same things, just different people saying them. But thank you, Leo, for contributing to that beautiful ending. Everyone,
Shades of gray.
50 Shades of Yoroni right here. Got it all going on. Thank you, everyone, for really
Thank
truly
you, everybody.
interesting
Thank you,
start of
people.
happy hour and a great ending and a wonderful middle. So, all in all, a fantastic afternoon with you guys, or evening, depending on where you are, or morning for our friends in Australia. Again, our thanks. We will have another one of these. We're going to get through Adepticon, so the next one will be early April. I haven't announced the date yet, but it'll be coming out shortly. And we hope we see you at one of our events in person, because we love seeing you in person. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.